live, and we are recording, and here we go. It's time for Clubhouse Chatter. Here's Norm Ordez.
Well, good morning and welcome back for the second interview of the day. And I have with me Cool Breeze. You know, I think that is like one of the best nicknames around. But Cool Breeze, Rodney Scott. Rodney, how you doing this morning?
Fine, thank you. And first and foremost, I want to thank God for giving me this opportunity to talk to you and bless everybody in the world.
You know, and I'm glad you brought that up because, you know, as a baseball fan, you know, I've worked in baseball. I've done some clubhouse managing, and I've shot video and stuff like that. And here I am. I'm blessed to have this show, though, you know, not a lot of people know about my show, but I'm able to talk to people like you and follow my passion for the game of baseball, you know, and I get to talk to, you know, guys who I watched when I was a kid.
So,
and
well, all I can say,
it's exciting.
Go ahead.
That's exciting.
It's just a blessing to be able to do something of this nature and talk to people and pass on any information that you can, you know, for something that you got a love and passion for.
Absolutely. So Rodney Scott, Cool Breeze, played for the Expos. He was drafted by the Royals, correct? You were drafted by the Royals.
NC Royals in the sixth round. I don't know what player I was, but sixth round. And I think I got drafted out of high school, and went from high school to professional baseball.
And then you went to the Expos, and you also played with the Rangers, Athletics, and the Cubs.
I was with the Rangers for a week before I got traded to the Oakland A's.
Right. So did you have a favorite organization that, so when I see Rodney Scott, the name Rodney Scott, I think of Rodney Scott, Montreal Expos.
Well, I played more years or seasons with Montreal than any other team. I was with Montreal for 4 seasons.
Okay.
And the other teams, Chicago Cubs, I was with them for half a season. The Oakland A's, I was with them for a year. And let me see. I'm trying to think who else I played for. I played for so many. But I had 8 years total major league service.
What was the best part of your major league career? I mean, what is your fondest memory?
My fondest memories is the minor leagues getting to the major leagues. I was on a couple of championship teams in the minor league, and the conditions weren't as good as being in the major league. So, in order for you to enjoy the major leagues, you had to go through the minor leagues.
So as I was doing some research on you a little bit this morning, I was reading some of your stats from the minor leagues. 1974 San Jose Bees team, who you were a part of, stole 372 bases in the season. You were 4th on that team in stolen bases with 46.
Oh, okay.
And that is crazy. 372 bases.
You know, I don't know if you recall, Ron Washington might have been on that team.
Yep.
A guy by the name of Quincy Davis. He was the number 1 draft pick at the time, and he also raced a horse and beat the horse in I think maybe a 40-yard dash or something.
Wow. Yeah. Wow.
And I'm not sure. I was thinking maybe Rupert Jones was on the team, but I don't think Rupert was on that team.
Yeah, I know you did. You played with him somewhere along the line. I'm not exactly sure if he was on that team, but there was Ron Washington, and then the other one that you had mentioned, and then there was one more guy who I had never heard of, but he had a little bit of major league time, but I think he stole 71 or 72 bases that season.
I'm trying to think if that was a guy by the name of Tickle Smith. It might be, I might be wrong, but he was also on the team. He could run a little bit, but I'm not real sure who the fourth guy was.
So, in let me see if I can get this right. So, 1980, you and Ron LaFleur broke a major league record by most stolen bases by two teammates, and I remember that Topps baseball card with your picture next to Ron LaFleur. What was Ron LaFleur like? I mean, he's got the movie, portrayed, but as a person, I know we all have our demons and stuff like that, but tell us a little bit about Ron LaFleur.
Well, myself, the experience I had with Ron was he's a real humble guy, great teammate. And we always had a thing where he batted first and I batted second. I told him, no matter what he wants to do, just go ahead and do it when he gets on the base, because I would take till I had two strikes on me, and by that time he beat and stole second and third. So all I had to do was make contact, and I got a run batter in. But sometimes I would walk after he done stole second and third, and then I would steal second. Then he'd come in on sacrifice fly or something, and then I steal third, and we would have two runs with no hits. But he was a great base runner.
Right.
He's real strong. Yeah, he's real strong. I seen him get thrown out by 10 feet. But once the guy put the tag on me, the glove and the ball went a different direction. So he had a stolen base that got up and took another base.
Wow. So your time in Montreal, so there is talk of, I don't know if it's going to happen, but there's talk of the Tampa Bay Rays possibly moving to Montreal. Do you think it's time that Montreal has another team?
Well, personally, I don't think they should have ever left Montreal, but
right.
Things happen for various reasons. But Montreal's a great town for Major League Baseball. So from my experience, so you'd have to ask somebody else about their experience, but mine was great.
So I have a small list of players who you've played with, and I'd like to get your take on them. And man, I mean, you played with so many great players. Of course, the Expos. You're talking Gary Carter, Andre Dawson, and those guys. But I went a little bit deeper, and so you had already mentioned Ron Washington. So what was Wash like coming up with?
Well, Ron basically was a catcher when he was coming up, and he was one of the best catchers I had ever seen. But they eventually moved him to second base. So, but he was a good ball player. But when you talk about Montreal's organization, you had Cromartie, Andre Dawson, Ellis Fundine. He was a catcher by the name of Larry Doby. He's passed now.
Yep.
Matter of fact, we won the American Association in '76, and we won it by like 30. We was 30 games over 500. Wow! And I felt that team should have been in Montreal that year, and the team in Montreal should have been in Denver. But what I say had nothing to do with it. But
right.
But I played, like you say, I played with a lot of Hall of Famers also. Tony Perez, Gary Carter, Andre Dawson. But they had an outfielder, like Ellis Valentine was a great outfielder. So got out.
How do you classify? So I know Ellis personally, and and he's how I got connected with you through the passpros.com.
Pass Pros.
And
well, since you mentioned passpros.com, it's a link to my website, which is rodneyscott.net.
Okay.
And, you can get any kind of memorabilia you would want on Pass Pros, if I'm not mistaken.
Right, you can. Yeah. So, but Ellis, how would you? He had one of the best outfield arms possibly ever. I mean,
he could also
underrated.
He could also absolutely. He could also steal a base too.
And he was just like, he was crazy. I mean, he was just. Unbelievable. And, I remember watching, TV as a kid and stuff like that. And, my connection with Ellis Valentine is and I was in Lancaster, California, working as clubhouse manager for the Lancaster Jethawks, and I used to frequent this restaurant called Crazy Otto's. And I remember one morning I'm sitting in there, and there's two gentlemen sitting at a table, and they're talking baseball, and so I turn and I give my 2 cents in, and next thing you know, they're inviting me to their table. And it was some guy who umpired baseball in the Lancaster Palmdale area, and Ellis Valentine. And when Ellis introduced himself, I had to take a double take because at first it was like, okay, I know that name, but where do I know that name from? And then I remembered, and so that season I'd probably had breakfast with Ellis a couple of times and went to a couple of different functions that he was at. He'd come up to the Lancaster games and stuff like that. Great guy, and we'll have him on a future show as well.
Well, that's good because he was a great talent, and mentioning not only Ellis, but the year Ron Flew and myself stole those 100, I think it was 163 bases or whatever, to break the all-time Major League record. As a team, we might have stolen over 200 and some bases because Dawson stole some, Cromartie, Valentine. It was ungodly. I can't even begin to tell you how many it was, but I know it had to be 200 or more.
Right.
Yeah, and I think back, I just heard the other day where the Kansas City Royals, as a team, they stole 153 bases. And I don't know how many guys was involved in that, but when they said that, I said they don't run like we ran. So
they don't.
Times changed somewhat on running, stealing bases.
Do you think
we weren't stealing? We were stealing bases, to score runs and win a game. It wasn't like we was stealing at will and the games was out of reach and nothing of that nature. So
right. Do you think with Billy Hamilton, do you think that's about to change again? Do you think there's, we're headed to a time in baseball again where you're going to see a lot of stolen bases?
I'm going to plead the fifth on that and just wait and see.
Man, I sure hope so. I was so excited to see the Royals.
Right, but he's a great talent too, Hamilton, you say, as far as stealing bases.
So... In your prime, so here I'm going to ask you a question. So, and you don't have to answer this, and I totally understand. But in your prime, so Billy Hamilton is pretty darn quick. So in your prime, are you as fast as Billy Hamilton?
I won't say fast. I didn't consider myself real fast. I consider myself quick. I think there's a difference between fast and quick. It depends on what the situation is, as far as stealing bases. I'm talking about, because you can get a jump and still get thrown out, but you got to know when to run and when not to run, so to speak.
Right. So I'm going to talk about a couple more players and get your take on them. And so you were talking about Hall of Fame, and you played with Veda Pinson. Is Veda a Hall of Famer in your eyes?
Veda Pinson?
Yes.
Well, Veda was on his way out when I was coming in.
Okay.
But he didn't play regularly at the time. But from what I heard about Veda, he could have possibly been in the Hall of Fame. But
okay.
He was a great inspiration to me, because he taught me how to dress and put on a uniform and all that good stuff.
And you also played with Vida Blue, who is a favorite of mine. And I know Vida from he comes out here to Salem Kaiser to chat at the Volcanoes banquet every year.
That's another.
So Vida's a good guy.
Yeah, he's a great guy, great talent, knew how to pitch, and just a good teammate to have around.
And then you also played with another one of my favorites, Shooty Babbitt.
Shooty Babbitt. I played with Shooty for maybe, we didn't play long together. I played with Shooty in the minor league somewhere. We didn't play in Oakland together. He was in Oakland after I had left, I think.
So you were actually you played with Shooty and you played with Razor Shines as well on that same team. Two of probably the greatest nicknames, as well.
Yeah, Razor Shine. Yeah, Razor Shine. I played with him. Maybe periodically he came up to Montreal, but that's the only time I really seen Razor Shine. I didn't really get to play with Razor, So I don't. But I heard he was a pretty good talent too,
So is there anything you regret about your baseball career? I mean, it doesn't sound like it. It was you definitely were blessed.
No, I had a great time. I was blessed to play as long as I was. I mean, I don't feel that I played in my prime because I got released at the age of 28. But I played in Venezuela and Mexico and had a pretty nice run over there. But all in all, I enjoyed every moment that I had playing. I was pretty blessed. The Lord blessed me pretty well.
Right. So I'm going to ask you about one more player, and that's Doc Ellis. Doc unfortunately passed away a few years back, and
right.
But Doc was an interesting fella.
Doc was one hell of a pitcher. That's for sure. Personally, Doc was a great individual to me. I learned a lot from Doc. I'm not gonna say what I learned from him, but it was all beneficial.
Right.
And, I appreciate all the time I had with Doc. He taught me a lot of things.
So is it true though? I know it was before you got up, but Doc threw a no-hitter, and supposedly he was high on acid. I don't know the truth to the rumor, but supposedly I think he struck out like 6 and walked 8 and hit a couple of batters. But I've seen footage of Doc and interviews with him, and man, he was a colorful person, definitely.
Well, all I can say about that is it's between Doc and the Lord, as far as I'm concerned, whether he was high or whatever, because them would be the only two people that would know anyway, as far as I'm concerned.
Right.
People speculate and think all types of things of certain people. So, I like I said, I plead the fifth on all of that because I couldn't tell you.
All right. So, is there a player in today's game who you really enjoy watching?
Well, I just like watching a good baseball game. Individuals. Baseball is a team sport. And in order for a team to win, everybody's got to be doing their part. So I don't have a particular player or nothing that I just watch or whatever. But the teams that win have better ball players, so to speak.
Right. And it was exciting to see the Royals in the World Series this year after that lengthy drought. And, the Giants and the Royals, I look at them and they're doing it kind of old school, They're doing it in the clubhouse. I mean, they do it on the field, but they get along in the clubhouse. And that's what the Dodgers, like teams like the Dodgers, they lack for some weird reason. They just don't have whatever it is, in the clubhouse, well, and I know they'll figure it out, but
I don't know if they'll figure it out or not. But the main thing in any team sport is you got to get along with each other. For one, guys. It's always be dissension and guys not pulling for another guy for a very. But my thing was always that I want to win by all means necessary, and I didn't care the star of the game or who home runs. It's about winning, and in order to win, everybody's got to be on the same page.
That is true. So if you were to talk in front of a group of young players up and coming, what would your advice be?
Stay focused. Do what you've been doing and enjoy what you do, because the Lord bless you to be able to do them things, and therefore you should use them to the best of your ability, and always root for the next guy. because there's always somebody behind you ready to take your job.
That is true. So once again, Rodney Scott on with us. Rodney, I'd love having you on. We'd love to have you back sometime soon.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
I'd like to get more into the minor leagues. Chat with you into the minor leagues. You know, you've got such a big long list of guys who you played with, and you know, like UL Washington, who didn't touch on, and
right.
You know, I mean, Jim Wolford, who's been a guest on our show a handful of times, and I love Jim, and you know, the list just goes on and on. And once again,
well, you give a shout out to all them guys for me and tell them God bless them and be with them forever. And I appreciate the time, and you have a nice day, and it's been a pleasure.
Will do. Rodney, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, you have a good day.
You too. Bye-bye. So
once again, Rodney Scott, man, you know, 372 bases. That's a lot of I don't know, what are bases made out of? Canvas?
Something like that.
That's a lot.
He had a lot of triples one year too. He had like 13
one year.
That's impressive.
And so, I mean, I was looking at his stats and I was just like, 63 stolen bases in 1980?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, they don't make them like that anymore. You know, Ron LaFleur, and of course, you know Ron LaFleur through the movies and stuff like that. But, you know, people tell me that Rodney Scott was just one of those guys who, for some odd reason, his career wasn't as long as it should have been. And I don't know, you know, if injuries got the best of him or what, but, you know, you get those guys. And you get those guys who are, you know, I don't want to call him a freak, but, I mean, obviously he was very good at what he did, and he was one hell of a baseball player. And for some odd reason, it just shows you how hard it is to stick around in the game of baseball.
It's tough. You know, you see millions. You see thousands of players playing each year. Injuries to everything else, to life, to... I mean, it's impressive, the guys that do make it and sustain it.
It really is. It really is. And it's a hard, you know, definitely a hard job, you know, playing a game. So once again, Rodney Scott. So I'm Norm. This is Brian. And we are sponsored by Base by Pros, Mitch Canham. BaseByPros.com is Dad, Mark Canham. Check him out at MDM Design. Proper Cuts Barbershop, Carlos and the boys, down there on Baker Street here in McMinnville. BaseballDudes.com. And check them out, Chris Gazelle. 9-Inning Know-It-All, 9inningknowitall.com. We're also on Facebook. Clubhouse Chatter is also on Facebook. Check us out. Baseballism, baseballism.com. Go buy some merchandise. Type in Clubhouse Chatter into the checkout, and it'll give you 15% off. Every time we come on, we stream live at yamhilltoday.com. And there you have it. So Major League Baseball season is officially done. My season isn't done. I still watch the winter leagues. So you got the Arizona Fall League going on. Australian League is starting to kick off. And so I'll be talking with, you know, some of those guys playing winter leagues and stuff. And so we'll be back next week, and we'll have a couple other guests. And have a good day.